Hello everyone, I am Savannah Kepley and I am a middle school language arts teacher, and I'm here to share some things that we can do this summer in order to create a positive and engaging and most importantly calm start of the school year. No one wants to go into the classroom at the beginning of the school year and not have anything ready because it just fills you with anxiety. At least it does for me. And so there are a couple things that I think that we can do over the summer in order to make sure that the rest of the year, or at least the start of the school year, runs a little smooth. Because you know, when you get to school, if you've been teaching a while, you know at the beginning of school you have 1,001 things to do. You have parents coming in, you have all of these department meetings, school meetings, county meetings, and so we need to have some things in place so we're not overwhelmed at the beginning of the year. And here are a couple things. So last video I talked about creating your roadmap for the year, and it's not planning every little thing, but just having a general idea of where you're starting and where you're ending so you can plug in those pieces as you go. So that's thing number one. Today we're talking about tip number two, the thing that you can do over the summer to ensure that you have a positive start to the school year, and that is to lock in on your classroom management plan. You have a solid classroom management plan, and then you have the freedom to teach how you want to. I'm sure you've seen classes, and I've even been part of classes where I didn't really have a set structure. I didn't have a set consequences or expectations. And so students would do things that would get on my nerves, and then I would like yell at them or get mad at them. But to be fair, they didn't really know what my expectation was, and I didn't have a method in order to make sure that they followed my expectations. And so it just created chaotic environments. And that's just something I'm not down with anymore. We all want calm, peaceful classrooms, and so just a little bit of work in the summer will make that happen. So there are three things that you can do for classroom management in order to have a calm and peaceful classroom. Thing number one is to list out your expectations. Now I only have 5 expectations, so what I did is I listed the things that frustrated me in the classroom, like students getting up and wandering or students talking to other students. So I listed those out, and from those, I created 5 core behavior expectations. Here, let me show them to you. These are my classroom expectations. There are 5 of them. These are ride and die. We have to follow these. Expectation number 1 is be ready to learn. And so what that means in my classroom is they're on time, restroom breaks are minimized, and only during emergencies, and they come with their materials. And of course they stay awake during class, but it's kind of hard to fall asleep in my class, but I still have that expectation is you're awake and you're engaged in what we're learning. Expectation number 2 is that you stay in your work areas. This was built out of the frustration of students wandering around and messing with other students. So what that means is they keep trash at their tables. I put little trash cans at their table that they throw everything away in. They use pens so they're not getting up and sharpening their pencils. And if they need something, they're raising their hand, so I come to them and they're not coming up to me. Because when one student comes up to me, then that just starts a chain reaction and it creates chaotic environments, so I will come to them. Third expectation is the electronics staying out of sight. Ideally, they stay in book bags or back pockets or hoodie pockets. I do not want to see them out on their desk, even if they're turned upside down. That would be a cell phone violation. Headphones stay in the case unless we are using them in class. So, you know, the earbuds as an accessory are not a thing in my classroom. If I see them walking in with it, I just remind them, hey, can you please take your earbud out? Or I just point to it and they take it out. So headphones stay in the case. And then smartwatches are used as a watch. And again, if they violate any of these expectations, then we move into our consequences, which we'll talk about in a minute. We keep communication respectful and appropriate. So avoid side conversations, especially when I'm teaching. We're not blurting out when I'm teaching. If you have ideas, that's great. Keep it on the inside. I say that a lot in my classroom. Keep it on the inside. We'll get to it. And then thing number 3, negative thoughts stay on the inside. We don't need to voice our negative thoughts. It's okay to have them. I have them too, but we keep them on the inside. And then finally, one of my main things is that we have a positive environment in the classroom. So what that means is we're all different, and that is okay. I'm not asking you to be best friends with people. I'm not asking you to marry them. I'm just asking you to be kind. And you know what? Kindness costs nothing. It takes nothing from you to be kind. And we celebrate people in my classroom. We have a lot of clapping, a lot of celebrations for people who do amazing things, and we encourage each other. Again, that doesn't mean we're best friends, but we are positive and nice and say good job to each other. These are my core behavior expectations. That is it. Those are my expectations. Those are my ride and die rules. Like, we have to meet those expectations every single day, every single person, so we can have this positive, calm classroom. So I have my expectations. Now, the second thing that you need to do is to come up with some easy to manage consequences. You don't want some like 15-step plan that is so hard for you to manage because you have 1,000 other things that you're managing. Come up with something that's easy for you. For me, and I've tried it all, but this is what works for me. For me, what I do is I have a 3-step system, a 3-step consequence system. Step 1 is I'm giving them a warning. So if I'm having to give them the teacher look, like if they're talking and I'm like, you know, like that, then they get a warning. And then step 2 is I move them from whatever the environment they're in into like a little isolation area. Now all it is a desk by itself, and I typically have that desk pulled up close to me in front of the classroom. Although I move around a lot, the front of the classroom is like my stage, my area, and so I move that desk right there so I can keep some eyeballs on them and making sure that they're still engaged in the classroom. So I'm not removing them from the classroom, I'm moving them to an isolation area. So step 1, warning. Step 2, removing them from the situation but still engaged in learning. Step 3, or strike 3, is out the door. So I ask them to remove themselves from the classroom. They go stand outside my classroom door. I come out and talk to them. If I'm coming out to talk to them, then that means I'm also going to be talking to their parents, and I'm also going to be writing them up for an administrative referral. So from there, it depends on your school. Like, some schools have like a timeout area that you can send students, and some schools do not. If your school does not, then I encourage you to, if you come up with some place to put those students. So at my school, we have called them boxes, and all we do is we just have the filing cabinet moved out, and you just slide a little desk behind the filing cabinet, and it's more of an isolation area. And if they're in that area, then they're having to do something that I call a pause and reflect form. So they're reflecting on their behavior and what they did to cause this in the classroom. So that is my 3-step system. And to be honest with you, I rarely get to step 3 because I'm really consistent with my warnings, and I'm really consistent with moving students who are the problem. And also assign seats helps a lot. So anyway, there's a lot going on there to help me not get to step 3. So we list out our expectations, we come up with some easy to follow consequences, and then the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to balance those consequences with something positive. So I do behavior incentives in my classroom, and it works for me. So I have these expectations, I have these consequences, and then I'm also praising students who do really well, who meet my expectations. At the beginning of the year, I use tickets, and I'm giving tickets out like it's like a candy at a parade, right? So if anybody is meeting my expectation, if they are coming in, getting their stuff out, they get a ticket. If their groups are talking and collaborating and not talking to other groups, they get a ticket. Not only am I giving them a ticket, but I'm also verbally praising them. I'm like, thank you, Alyssa, for getting your stuff out. Everybody look at table 2. Table 2 is doing awesome. They are talking together. They're not talking to anybody else. Table 2 rocks. Be like table 2. Like, I try to use them as examples in my class, and I also say thank you to them out loud so other people can hear, and that helps get everybody else on board. So with my behavior incentives, I do 1 a quarter or 1 every 12 weeks to keep it fresh and to keep students engaged in the classroom and still meeting my expectations. Now I have to say, at the beginning of the year, I'm like giving tickets out to get them to meet my expectations. But come May, if some student is getting their stuff out like they're supposed to, like they have for 8 months, then I'm not giving them a ticket, because by then it's expected, right? Like, of course it is my expectation, but I'm not giving them a ticket for it. We have to like level up our behavior and our contributions in order to earn the incentives in the 4th quarter. So anyway, that's beside the point. That's a little side note for you. Now, if we wanted to review, what we have to do here is to get ready for the school year, to lock in your solid classroom management plan so you can have structure in order to have freedom to teach like you want. Step number 1, come up with your expectations. Step number 2, come up with your consequences, and easy to follow, something you can manage, nothing 15 steps, something you can manage plan. And then step number 3, come up with something to balance it, some kind of incentive. So you have your negative with your consequences mixed with your positive, and then it's going to be a great school year. Now, if you are looking for some resources, like I have these behavior expectation slides, I have all of the incentives and the stuff that goes with it. All of that stuff is in my classroom management course called Managing Middles. And so I encourage you to check that out if you're looking for more classroom management resources in order to structure your school year so it starts off calm and peaceful. If you need a little bit more guidance with that, I would suggest checking out Managing Middles. I'm gonna link that below. So what I will link is the video so you can see the website. And then I'm also gonna link some more information about it. Now, if you are a language arts teacher like me, I have the Managing Middles course inside of, look at my little container, inside of ELA Unlimited. And ELA Unlimited is just a hub where you can find engaging and creative resources for your middle school language arts classroom, and you can just download them and use them. Most of them are just ready to go, and it's just great. I think it's a great little website for you, especially if you're looking for resources. I'll link all that below as well. All right, so I'll come back tomorrow with tip number 3 of what you can do this summer in order to prepare for a calm and exciting, peaceful start to your school year. See you tomorrow.